So, yeah, let's start off with just why you decided to trust a random stranger on the internet to save your marriage.
Yeah, partly I would say desperation, right? Like in the sense of, um, just trying to figure things out. The stuff that I was doing wasn't necessarily working, or I wasn't getting the results that I was hoping for. Um, and did some research and be honest, like, was skeptical at first, but at the same time, I was like, what do I have to lose? Like, um, you know, I want to save my marriage, but if that doesn't work out, like I do want to better myself. And um, before I joined, I was watching a lot of the free YouTube videos. Um, a lot of the stuff in your videos, I experienced the first 3 months of this kind of journey with my wife, and it was just like it clicked. Like it just it just made sense, right? A lot of the stuff that you're saying I went through or I was feeling, um, and stuff like that. So I was like, I'm gonna give it a shot.
Yeah. Brilliant. Yeah, yeah. And you should be scared, because there's a lot of other stuff out there that just is kind of like, not the best. But
Yeah.
one question I always have, Josh, is like, what was there something she said or some kind of conversation or something that happened that really triggered that like catalyst for you to want to go search for help?
Um, no, I mean, to be honest, like, so when this first started back in June with my wife, we had a talk and she was just, you know, I was coming from a logical standpoint and she just basically said, you know, I knew she was unhappy. I thought it was a lot of like work related stuff, right? And she's got a stressful job and stuff like that. And she just, during that conversation, she was like, "No, you're the problem. Like, I'm not happy with you. I haven't been for years, and off and on, and things like that." And she's like, I feel like our marriage is a transactional marriage at this point, and I'm no longer emotionally attracted to you. So I started seeing a therapist. There's stuff I wanted to work on before that happened anyway. I was in a serious car accident about 9 years ago. Um, so it just, typical male, I don't need help, things like that. Like I can do it on my own, sort of thing. But anyway, so I started seeing a therapist, kind of working through some past traumas and stuff like that. Um, she was kind of pushing me to get a decision, like an ultimate decision for my wife. And it seemed like every time I pushed my wife during this, after that initial conversation, like things went bad.
Hmm.
And it was like, I was like, I just need to do something different. Like I hit like rock bottom. I guess during this process, like mid-September time frame. And it wasn't like giving up, but I was like, I need to accept this and, um, again, either try to do something different to save the marriage or better myself for hopefully the next relationship. And, um, if I was going to be by myself for a while or whatever, or, I have two kids, I was like, I got to be there for my kids. And that's basically why I decided to do it.
Man, that's a lot of motivation. I always
Yeah.
talk about how there's like three levels of motivation when guys join this program. The lowest level is, they're gonna do it actually for their kids. Actually, that's the lowest level. When I say lowest level is like, oh, I just don't want shame of a failure as a husband. Obviously, there's multiple layers. Everyone can have a little bit of each. But what we
Right.
found is like then kids are up here, like I want to save the marriage for the kids. Then it's like, oh, I want to save the marriage for her to keep her because she's my soulmate or my love of my life. Then it's like I want to do this for myself.
Yeah.
And you guys can shift, and as you've seen this probably throughout the program, like we want you guys to get here, right?
Yeah.
But when you're at this spot, the biggest power of that, and I want to see if you can expand on this for me, is when you start going on this journey of becoming the better man for her, when you put the onus on yourself, like I'm focusing on my own reason for doing this, you find the wins pile up and you go into this winner effect where it's like, despite what she's doing, how she's testing, going the dual mind narrative back and forth, you're staying consistent, which she needs for you to feel safe.
Yeah, no, 100%. Um, when I did make the decision to join the program, you know, our accounts were still connected, everything like that. So she had visibility into like the financial stuff and everything. And it was really important for me. Like I had to go to my brother and ask him like to borrow money, right, for the first initial payment for it. And I opened up a separate credit card, like just under my name. Like I didn't want my wife to know anything about it. And for me, it was really important because I was doing it for myself. And I felt like if she saw it, like, the payments and stuff, she would obviously question the amounts and things like that. But I didn't want her to think I was doing it for her, to be honest. Like selfishly, like it was probably the first thing I've done for myself in years. So it was just really important for me to do that. She actually didn't know about the program until right before Christmas. I finally told her.
Yeah.
So
When did you join?
I joined mid-October.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and yeah, as you know, like one of the biggest mistakes a lot of guys will make is to go like, "Oh, look what I did! Look what I'm doing for
Yeah.
us."
Nope. And like when I opened up the credit card, like it actually came on a day like she checked the mail and she was like, "Oh, did you get a credit card?" And I was like, "Yep." And I just walked away, like didn't explain myself. Wasn't rude about it or anything like that. By that point, like I was already starting to see progress with her and stuff. Um, and I was like, "Yeah, I did," and um, like I said, usually I would kind of probably explain myself and stuff and tell her why. Like, and right there, I didn't. The only reason why I did in December was something else came up, and part of my values is, integrity. And at the time, her dad just passed away in early December, health complications and stuff like that. And that's when she asked me about it. And because of that, I didn't tell her then. And after a couple of weeks, I decided I was going to tell her just because I wanted to be honest with her and stuff. So, and she seemed happy with it. She was glad. She was like, "Why didn't you just take it out of our checking account?" I was like, "Because I was doing this for myself. I did, so."
Well, I can already tell from some of the things you're saying about the honesty, the integrity, and just like even holding your frame in a way and not being, I would say, reactive to her. These things that you're doing. But before we go into those lessons deeper, I want to see like where are things at now? Where are some of the best wins? How are you guys doing?
I mean, like, do you want like examples or?
Yeah, just like overall, how are you guys doing, and what are some examples to show that?
I mean, we're doing great. Like, we are, I think, in a spot where it's like we tell each other we love each other. Like we've never used the word reconciliation, and that's that's not really kind of my wife anyway. So I don't know if I'll ever truly hear those words, but like, we're in that frame where we're intimate. Multiple times in the past 4 weeks, where before it could have been months. Um, One of the big things I've done is like I just decided I was going to date her again. So like I set up dates for us now. Um, and it's not really asking her if she wants to or this. Like I just set it up. Like I was like, this is what I want to do. And if she says no, that's fine, right? But I don't take it personally or anything like that. So we're I would say in that stage, like very, touchy, a lot of good um, conversations. We've had, small conversations about the future and sometimes not even major, but things for the kids that we're going to do together with them. We're actually going on a family trip out of the country in a couple weeks. So it's things like that. Whereas previously, I would say, and it's been like that for probably the past month and a half. Um, Previously, my daughter was asking if she could repaint her room, and we were just kind of like, deflect and kind of, come up with an excuse or something like that because we didn't know what was going on. And now, like, making plans to, paint a room and change a room into a gaming room for the family. It's, things like that. I've had some small conversations where I think it's kind of, you know, cleared up some previous misunderstandings that led us to where we were.
Mm,
And those just kind of came up organically and things. So things are awesome.
it's
Like,
amazing.
yeah, like I told Chris, Coach Chris, the last time we met, and I'm actually meeting with him right after we talk. It's almost like I was falling back in love with her.
Wow.
So yeah, it's awesome.
One of the things you touched on that I want to expand that's like really hard for a lot of the newer guys to grasp, but it sounds like you got it down was, well, you kind of showed it, you highlighted it with the idea of you choosing, well, first of all, creating these dates, and then if it chooses not to go, water off a duck's back, right? How did you get to that mindset of the attraction paradox that I caught, that wanting her but not needing her?
Yeah, I think when I kind of hit that rock bottom in September, I was just I was just tired. Like I've lost like 15 pounds in a matter of a couple, 2.5, 3 months. My job was suffering. Like I was just kind of like those 3 months felt like years,
Mm,
and I was just tired of it. And I think that was the biggest kind of shift for me. And then even before I started the program, I was just like, again, I was like, something needs to change. I need to take advantage of, living in the same house. Um, so like I just started small and was just kind of like come home from something. She was doing something. I was like, hey, let's take a 5-10 minute walk. Wouldn't ask her, and at that point I was just like, well, if she says no, she says no. It doesn't matter. Like it doesn't matter. And just took stuff very slowly with it. And it just kind of built that confidence of, you know, um, that I could do that, if that makes sense. Like
yeah,
I
it
don't
does.
know. And I think another big step for me was again joining the program, not telling her about it because, like I said before, it was like truly the first thing I did for myself and no one else. And
Yeah.
that kind of told me right there too. I was like I want her, but like I don't need her.
Yep.
And that was
And
one of the things. I'm sorry. That was one of the things with like starting to watch some of your YouTube videos. Like it was clicking. Like wow, like he's saying this stuff like that I'm feeling and I'm kind of going through right at the moment, and um just kind of went from there.
yeah, one thing that you alluded to that was super powerful was the decision to actually take action toward yourself, right? Actually investing into the program. A lot of guys don't understand. So when it comes to like getting their wife back or getting her to fall back in love, we operate in like a doing. Like I had to do these things instead of
Yeah.
becoming, right? And so one thing I talk about when I was a dating coach was like attraction isn't something you do, it's something you are. Right? You can have two men saying the same lines, but one guy just knows how to embody himself differently than the other person. It's not the words, right? And
Yeah.
so along with that idea, by you actually taking action towards yourself, you are creating this new identity of like, I take care of me. I deserve these things for myself. And that builds your self-worth. And then you start to develop this stronger identity that you are worthy, that you are valuable. And then she notices that.
Yep.
Opposed to like, I'm going to buy this program to prove it to her. It's like same action, but completely different intention and result.
Yeah. Yeah. And it was like early October. And again, I kind of started doing it small with like the walks and stuff, but I didn't really know what I was doing at the moment. And it was like these videos, your videos too, were talking about leading. And it was like I was telling her what I wanted. Like I wasn't asking. Um, and that just kind of built that also, where it was like every time I did that, and when I made that mindset of like I'm gonna try to date her with no expectations. Like I changed my tone around her, um, acted like when we wake up, like because we were in separate beds and stuff. First time I saw her in the morning, like how would I act if we were just dating? Like I'd be happy to see her in the morning, right? My tone would be a certain way, and I just started doing that. And each time I started doing that, like I could actually see her changing, and I really worked really hard on like just my own energy, and you know it took a long time to do it, and had to practice it multiple times a day, like through breathing and stuff. But it was like I wanted to make sure I was really calm around her and slowed down. Um, and I could see her slowing down.
Yeah.
So it was literally like she was even picking up on my energy, which was crazy, like that she could sense that.
This is why I love these calls because you're helping me, Josh. You're helping me consolidate a new idea that I'm thinking about. Do you remember the Stockdale paradox from the program?
Yes. Yep.
So for those who don't know, it's like it's like knowing that you're going to get the result you want, but not caring how long it takes. When it comes to this energy you're talking about, I would say like the worst way to view your wife or a relationship in general is like, I could go get someone better and like, it's, whatever, right?
Right.
There's another component to it. The other side of it is like, she's the one for me, no matter what. And it doesn't matter how long it takes to get her to be, happy with me. Like, oh, there it is. I'm sorry, I'm gonna correct myself. Okay, ready for this? Here it is.
Yep.
Or the bad mindset is I think I can go get better, and she might eventually she's gonna stay forever, right? That is the worst mindset. Where it's
Hmm.
like I know she's the one, but I know she could also leave me any day. And when guys hear that, they're probably thinking like, "Doesn't that going to create anxiety and insecurity?" It's like no, because then it leads you to like, I'm going to show up as my best self. I'm going to appreciate her so much, and I could also leave too, but I know I'm committed to her, and because that's what she needs. She needs that complete devotion that you know that she is like the center of your world in a way where it's like you're going to protect and provide for her. That's what she needs to feel. Anytime you fall off that path, any guy does, you don't lead successfully in that manner. She feels it, and that's when she tests, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and one of the biggest things I learned during this is, you know, um, you think you get married, it's going to last forever, that sort of thing. Not that you don't have to try anymore, but you stop trying as much. And there were portions, because of schedules, kids, like both of us stopped trying. And, I failed to realize as the man, like I have to lead that. And of course there's, covert contracts where it's like, well, if you're not trying, why should I? Like, you're not doing this and things like that. And like it just I don't know. Once I started leading, it changed everything. And when combination of changing my energy around her and stuff, it just absolutely changed everything.
If I was a fly on the wall, practically, what was that looking like? Can you give me some other examples of how you led?
Um, uh, it would be simple as what are we going to have for dinner? Like if we're ordering dinner, in the past it would be like, well, I don't know what I want. What do you feel like? And I wanted to make sure she was happy and stuff. And I just started like simple. Let's order from here. If the kids don't want it, we'll order from here. Like it was just very basic kind of things, like with that, or if something needed to be done, and I'd be like, no, I'll go do it, instead of asking her if she needed help or something like that. Um, Big thing like around the dinner stuff, where it was just like when I told her this is what we were gonna do, she's like, okay, and she just went with it, and she's like, okay, well, I'll go pick it up then, or things like that. And um, like I said, nothing. It was nothing big with that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Like the walks, like I want to go for a walk. Let's go. We'd go, and things like that. Or even another example, um, I'd be laying in bed, and I'm like, hey, before you go into your room, why don't you just come and hang out and watch some TV? And she's like, okay. And I wouldn't even ask, like, I know I just kind of framed it like a question like that, but I was like, come lay down and watch some TV. Come hang out. And she would. And so each time I was just kind of like, all right, I'm going to build on this a little bit more. You know, I would, if I'm passing her or something, I'd rub her arm just to see like how she would respond to it. Um, and it just kind of snowballed from there.
And what prevents a lot of guys from doing that themselves is the risk of rejection, right?
Sure. Yeah.
How did you get over that?
How'd I get over that?
Yeah, like the risk of like being rejected, like and then your ego being bruised.
I mean, that conversation when she said she wanted a divorce, like that's like the ultimate rejection right there. So it was like it took a while to get over that. Obviously, like I didn't know how to talk to her, you know, how to act around her, and I think being able to just let go, like that's the biggest mindset change, and it's the hardest thing to do. Is like by letting go, like I just felt free, and it was like this is what I want to do, and I would refer back to like if we were just dating, like I wouldn't ask her what she wanted to do. I would set something up, you know, um, and say this is what we're doing. And like I set up a date um, while this was going on, and nothing big. And sent her a calendar invite. She accepted, and I was like, all right, it's on. And then like um, during that week leading up to it, like I would send out like little hints. So I made it like a little game and stuff. Like I didn't ask her if she wanted to go. I just did it, and then um like even with the dates, like we have a date this Saturday. Like I just set it up. I made the plans, for the kids to be taken care of. We're just staying at the house. Like she comes home from California on Friday, like she's gonna be tired. So it's like I just set it up and um like I just realized like even if she says no, like it's not me. It's it's or it could be, but it's not always about me, and it's like it just I don't know. Like I said, that mindset change is just it sets you free. It's unbelievable.
Everything, right? Ah, man, absolutely. And it's one thing that you touched on too that I want to kind of finish up with is the idea of like the woman is the one who can tell when the relationship is something's going wrong, and it's the man's role to fix it. Right.
Yeah.
So that's where I really differ from therapy, right? Is like a lot of the times it's like you go in there and it's just like, all right, trying to get both sides. I don't need to go into that too much. I think you know all about that. Um, but yeah, that's why I really believe that, when the man is takes his lead, the woman follows when he takes a true, authentic lead. Um, Josh, one question I like to ask towards the end, you can get in a time machine and just go back like a year or maybe 6 months and give yourself a piece of advice you needed to hear in that moment. What would you tell him?
Oh man. Um, I that's a hard question. Um, Specifically around our like my marriage is not to be comfortable
Mm,
because I think like I said, you do get comfortable. You stop doing the things that you know that she was probably attracted to you in the first place. Um, and to do things for yourself. Like it's it was such like a wanting to please everybody and things like that. Like I didn't make time for myself, if that makes sense.
nice.
Um, Regarding the program, I thought about this like today before, or when I was setting up the call with you, is like what am I going to say, things like that, like, and honestly, I thought about it. I was like, man, I wish I would have joined the program a lot sooner. But at the same time, I don't know if I was ready, if
Mm,
that makes sense. Like I almost feel like I had to hit that rock bottom, right? To let everything go because I do see it like in the community with the other brothers where it's like some of them do say they've let go, but you can kind of tell in their words and things like that, their reactions, like that they haven't, or they're like pushing to try to get to a different stage that they're really in and things like that. But I really had to like struggle for those few months to be able to let go, if that makes sense.
it makes sense to me. I know some guys that they would hear that they don't. It doesn't make sense. It makes sense when it makes sense. It's like that idea. It's like it's not something that you can just hear the words and then it makes it click. It has that like embodiment. You have to understand it, right? Like
Yeah.
truly experientially. So, but Josh, man, this has been such a great call, man. I really appreciate it. Is there any other questions you have for me or anything you want to talk about before I let you go?
No, I want to say thank you to you. I know like this is our first call and stuff, but like the whole program Coach Chris, Lane, the brothers. Like, honestly, I don't know where I would be right now if it wasn't for the program. Um, there was a lot, done a lot of work. I have a lot more work to do. This was not like, you know, this journey's not over regardless, right? Like, this is going to be a lifetime thing. And, you know, just very thankful to everyone. So it's been an experience that I wish I didn't have to go through, but at the same time, um, I'm glad everyone was there for me. So it was awesome. It's been awesome.
Thank you, Josh. I really appreciate it, man. Thank you so
Yeah.
much.